guys, the name is Kris Barocsi. Welcome to comment time number 7. We will get into the comments right away because I have tons of very interesting questions and I don't want to make this video 1 hour long. I wanted to let you know that I'm working on the Give-A-Caster, my giveaway guitar, with which I'm celebrating the 10,000 subscribers on this channel. And I'm working on it. Finishing a guitar always takes some time. First of all, because I don't have a lot of free time to do it. And also you need some time between layers of finish. They have to dry before you can send it back and put on the next coat. I'm working on it and it's looking really good right now already, even though it's not finished yet. The first comment is from Norman Perkel. I've always wanted a Tele, but I've always wondered about intonation with the vintage saddles. Have you ever had any problems getting your intonation dialed in with the vintage barrel saddles? Moreover, do Teles with the Strat style independent saddles impact the vibe and tone much that the guitar begins to lose its Teleness? Sorry for the stupid questions. Independent saddles are better, I guess you could say, in terms of being even more exact. Still, it does impact the tone and the vibe and the feel. It is very hard to find independent saddles that will work on a ashtray style bridge that are made out of brass. That makes things even more complicated because the material obviously impacts the sound a lot. But even if you find saddles, independent saddles out of brass, still it will just not feel the same. And to answer the first half of your question, if I ever had intonation problems, if you're using 3 vintage style barrel Tele saddles that are not compensated, so that means the screws go through the back wall of the bridge, and then the barrels come like in 90 degrees, like this, and the next one, and the next one, you will have problems. You can have compensated saddles. These compensated saddles come in different shapes and forms. I love the ABM compensated saddles. That's a German high quality guitar parts and bridge maker company. And they have this solution where they have the normal brass saddles and they have carvings inside them for each and every string, and these carvings go in different depths. So this means that the point where the string leaves the barrel, the saddle, is on different positions, and with that you have that compensation. And it's such a clever and simple idea. It works perfectly. I will put a few links of these compensated saddles in the video description box right under this video. Bob F. wrote a comment under my Harley Benton Fusion 2 Silver Sparkle video. He found a video cool and had a story. He was searching for a guitar for his neighbor's son, and it's a really nice comment, and you should read it. He has a question too. My question for you is, and since I heard that you were a first-class guitar tech, I saw your live feed with Guillaume a few days ago. That was on the Tolman's Guitars and Basses channel. What is the best way to clean and treat the roasted maple fretboard? I never had one before and I'm getting conflicting advice on how to do it. Yeah, so roasted maple doesn't have to be finished. Because of the roasting process, maple becomes really sturdy and resistant, and roasted maple is not that strongly affected by humidity and temperature changes and all that kind of things. So if it's not finished, you don't even have to oil it and wax it. I recommend doing it still. I do it for sure on my guitars. Like I have my Strat where I have a roasted maple neck and it's not finished in the middle. I just oil it 1 or 2 times a year. I love this Sandberg fretboard oil. I'll put a link in the description again. It's all natural. It doesn't smell too weird and artificial. It's very protective. Soaks and it dries really nicely. It's not sticky, yada yada. There are guitars with roasted maple necks and maybe even fingerboards that are actually finished. The finish is very thin and it's sort of satin, so you don't really see it if it's finished. If it's finished, you don't have to do anything with it. Just grab a slightly moist cloth and rip the dirt off, and that's it. How can you test if the roasted maple neck is finished or not? You can put a drop of water on the wood and just let it sit on top. If it sits on there like a little bowl and it doesn't get soaked in the wood at all, then it's finished. Then the wood is completely closed. Fred Raccoon wrote a really interesting comment under my top 6 compressor tips video. This might be a stupid question. It isn't. But as you are using the compressor at different levels for different purposes, can you stack compressor pedals? Hell yeah. Just think of all the producers and audio guys working in studios. Just ask them about stacking compressors. That's very important actually to do. Because if you're using just one compressor with a higher compression level, you will hear the compressor working way more than if you had 2 or 3 and all of these compressors set in a very subtle way. So the same thing for guitar players. You will probably have some extremely sweet sounds because a slightly compressed signal gets compressed again slightly, will give you a very natural sort of dynamic range, but you still have that effect of having compressors on, which helps with being heard, which helps with extremely pokey pick attack, etc. So you will have the benefits of using compressors, and it will not sound that artificial and sort of over compressed. Paul Dugdale wrote this under my Beatronics Fat B Overdrive review video. Hey Paul, by the way. Kris, I have customized my PRS Tremonti SE with a bare knuckle Warpig and a handmade P90 in a humbucker shell at the neck position. The wiring is, as far as I can tell, the right way round. Both pickups behave as expected when selected, but the middle position is thin. Is this phase or impedance? It's driving me a little insane, or more than normal anyway. Thank you. That is a classic phase problem. If you have 2 pickups and both work perfectly fine and sound as expected alone, but sound very thin when both are active together, that is obviously a phase issue. All you have to do to get rid of this thin middle position sound is to flip the phase on one of the pickups. If it's a single coil pickup, it's going to be simple. You'll have a black and a white wire and you just change those. So black is normally ground and white is normally hot. Just change those two. White goes to ground and the black is going to be your hot wire, and that's it. And if it's a humbucker and you have like 4 wires plus a bare, one of the colored wires is going to be hot and one of the colored wires is going to go to ground together with the bare wire. So you just swap those 2 colored wires the hot one with the one that goes to ground together with the bare wire. And that's pretty simple to do as well. You just have to flip the phase on one of the two pickups, and then the middle position where both pickups are selected is not gonna sound thin anymore. They will be in phase and you're good to go. Juan Camilo wrote this under my How to Buy the Right Guitar video. The thing is, how to buy a guitar if you can't test it before buy it. You are probably talking about buying a guitar online. Buying stuff online makes testing harder, but it's not at all impossible. I'm not sure in which country you're living in. If you're in Europe, I can absolutely recommend ordering from Thomann. Thomann is very customer friendly, and if you order something you don't like it, you can send it back. If you're living somewhere really far, I'm sure there are some online stores that will offer maybe even free shipping and free returning as well if you don't like the product. I know this is not an option in all of the countries across the world, and yes, that makes things way more complicated. My workaround would be to avoid ordering stuff and not being able to send it back even though I don't like it. I would probably do the same thing as what I'm doing right now. Find a couple of guitar players who I like their approach, their sound, and who I feel like being connected in a musical way, that if they test something and play something, I will know how I will like it. And if you find a channel or a guitar player that sort of reflects your taste, that's important. Because if these channels or players will test something or show something and you like it, there's a big chance that you will actually like it if you play it yourself. I have my channels I love to watch, and I know exactly how the pedal or guitar or amp would sound in real life if I watch videos of these guys. I'm talking these guys, That Pedal Show, love the guys, they're fantastic musicians too. Then of course Rubia, I love his sounds and the way he approaches gear, and his playing obviously too, etc. So there are a couple of channels that help me to figure out things about gear I don't have or I don't have access to. That's my recommendation to you, Juan. Try to find those channels that will help you to avoid buying the wrong stuff. Marcin W. wrote under my One Guitar to Rule Them All Telecaster video. Hi, what do you think about Tele with humbuckers? I love Teles with humbuckers. I would not use them instead of Teles with the proper Tele single coil pickups though, because taking away those two Tele pickups will change the mojo and the character of the guitar a lot. It will not be a real Tele anymore in terms of sounds. Of course, the playability, the vibe, how you play on the guitar will not change, and that is also very important. And for that reason, I would love to have a Tele with two PAF style humbuckers, just to have a Tele that doesn't sound like a Tele anymore, but still feels like and plays like a Tele. That's a good one. This is from Parker, again under the Telecaster video. If it's so simple, why are they so damn expensive? Great question. First of all, because it's so damn good. It's the best guitar I ever played. I would not swap this guitar against anything else on this planet, including original 1959 Les Paul Bursts worth $500,000. I would not swap this guitar. It's that good for me. And also, it's very important to say, simple doesn't mean bad. Simple doesn't mean crappy. Simple means not too complicated on its own, but it's still perfect. Or even because of that, because it's that simple, it is perfect. Why would I and so many other players choose a simple guitar over a super complex, switchable, twistable 5 pickup guitar? Because it makes you a better player. Because a simple guitar needs more creativity to make it sound good. And that helps you to become a better player. And once you start to get that feel and you start to realize how big of a difference it makes where you pick a string. If you pluck a string with your finger, you hit the string hard or just pick subtle. You use both of the knobs and that 3-way toggle. There are so many awesome sounds hidden in a Tele, even though it's called a simple guitar. That's what makes simple guitars like Les Paul Juniors, Teles, Squiers, these kind of guitars very lovable. Carrie Dorsey wrote this under my Mesa Boogie Mark III review. As a 30+ year owner player of a Mark III, I thank you for a great review. Thank you very much, Carrie. Part of the uncharted territory with these amps is speaker cab selection. So please talk more about how you capture your sound, where the aux box fits in, and how that influences your tone adjustments. Very important comment. Cabs and speakers are absolutely underrated, basically. Everyone talks about amps. This amp is awesome, that amp is crappy, blah blah blah. A great amplifier head with a really bad speaker cab will sound miserable. Regarding the aux box, I'm using an Analytico 50 speaker loaded 2x12 close-back simulation. That was long. That's one of the simulations in the aux, and I found it right away basically and loved it most. So I'm using 2 mics in front of it. Maybe I can put in a screenshot of it right here. And that's gonna be the simulation of the Sennheiser MD421 dynamic mic together with a Royer R121 ribbon mic simulation. When I was creating this preset in the aux, it took me a couple of days, maybe even weeks, until I was really happy. I was A/Bing, like comparing my real cabs with the preset sound and recorded with them and had a listen in the room. And at the end, I didn't hear any difference anymore. It sounds exactly the same way. So that's why I stick to the aux. That's why I love using it. You just turn the aux on and hit record in your DAW, which is great. So that's why I'm using it. I don't have to readjust anything on the Mark III or on the Rev Dynamis head that I'm using. These 2 heads work the same way with the aux as what they work with my cabs. Michael Dörenbecher. Kris, nice video. Thank you. Which pickups would you recommend to upgrade a Squier Tele? Thank you. Ooh, way too many great options. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, I would recommend using the Bare Knuckle Bootcamp pickup series. Those pickups are not very expensive and sound so good. So there are 3 output levels, basically 3 series: the Old Guard, the True Grit, and the other ones, I don't know. and those are fantastic. So I would probably go for those. If money is not that much of an issue, clear recommendation is the Fender Custom Shop No-Caster pickup set, which is basically the pickup I'm using in my Tele. There are obviously incredible pickups, other pickups, like the guys at Macmo started to sell their pickups without their guitars. That would be an awesome option too. And Nick Silver pickups, fantastic pickups, so you could try those. There are so many options really, but maybe the simplest and cheapest would be the Bare Knuckle Bootcamp series pickups, and the easiest to buy sort of expensive pickups would be the Fender Custom Shop No-Casters. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section, and see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Hit me with a like if you like this one, and take care. Bye bye.